يا طويلة وين نحوسني وحده يا حلو يا مزوينتي وين نحوسني وحده يا حلو يا مزوينتي وين نحوسني وحده يا مزوينتي.
The word socialism is a bit of a taboo here in America, where capitalism reigns supreme. We want our businesses and economic markets to be freer than a bald eagle flying through the sky eating a Big Mac. But clearly, the stigma of socialism is lifting as one of our presidential contenders, Bernie Feel the Burn Sanders, has brought socialism, and in particular democratic socialism, to the forefront of the national conversation. Socialism at its root stands for the belief that a group of people can work together for the betterment of all the members of that population, not just for the benefit of the few. Not to be confused with its more extreme totalitarian form, communism, socialism isn't about how much the government controls, but that its people control and share its resources. Democratic socialism is the enactment of socialist principles through the means of the democratic process. Democratic socialists believe that the government and the economy should be run by the people it is representing, rather than a small handful of people working against the interests of the majority. So it makes sense that socialism is making a sort of comeback here in America, right? Thanks to unfettered capitalism, the top 1/10 of the 1% wealthiest people in this country now own more wealth than the bottom 90%. CEOs are making 300 times what their workers make, and some aren't even giving their workers livable wages or benefits. Now, you may be looking at me right now and saying, well, yeah, he's just a communist. But I assure you, I am not a communist, I'm just a millennial. And we love socialism. And what a lot of people may not realize is that America is kind of already a socialist country. Think about it. Medicare, free K-12 education, the Postal Service, even the Army are all socialist programs. Hell, if you drive on a road or a highway, you're utilizing socialism. Yet it still remains to be seen if socialism will catch on with Americans enough to elect a boisterous democratic socialist to the executive office. Jaded from the Cold War and weary of bigger and more costly government programs, it seems like democratic socialists have more work to do to move past the stigma created against socialism in this country. And Americans only need to look to other countries to see that socialist parties can thrive and work in conjunction with capitalists to have a free market that works for everyone. The important thing to remember is that there are good and bad things about both socialism and capitalism, and that we only need to strike the right balance to make them both work. And you know what really doesn't work? Fascism.
No word strikes more fear into the heart of Fox News anchors. No 4 syllables shakes the 1% more to its core than socialism.
The problem with socialism is,
why would President Obama want America to be more socialist than capitalist?
43% of 18 to 29-year-olds think socialism is okay.
Socialism is a dirty word in American politics. It's lobbed at presidents to try and tear them down, and used by outsiders to set them apart. But what is it? Socialism is a political and economic theory of social organization that advocates the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. But here's the thing that no one will tell you. America is already socialist. Here's why. Americans work like socialists. You know those 2 days a week where your boss can't berate you? What are they called? The weekend. The weekend was never part of big business's plan. It was fought for and won by the labor movement of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a labor movement that was full of socialists. In 1938, Congress passed the Fair Labor Standards Act. It established a 40-hour work week, minimum wage, and eliminated child labor, which is a good thing, unless you run a sweatshop. Some of the most remarkable Americans, maybe even some of your heroes, were socialists. Mark Twain, Ernest Hemingway, Jack London, Cesar Chavez, Helen Keller, even Harry Houdini was a socialist. Now America has Bernie Sanders, who calls himself a democratic socialist, and Danny Glover, who's so down. But I'm still waiting on Lethal Weapon 5, the picket line. The military, the one area of spending no one would dare call socialist. And yet, it's largely funded by you, the taxpayer. Strange for all the wars the US has fought trying to stop the spread of socialist ideas, you'd think that war was a capitalist venture. Around 27% of your tax dollar goes to fund the biggest and most expensive military in the world, with a budget of $598.5 billion. Compare that to spending on unemployment, social security, education, science, and infrastructure, and it looks like the military is red all over. Good God, y'all. Welfare is also one of those things that's bad-mouthed for being socialist, because why take care of the needy? But what about corporate welfare? Since 2000, Uncle Sam has given $68 billion in business grants and tax credits, 2/3 of which has gone to large corporations. Transportation and energy are the biggest beneficiaries. Even some of the biggest corporations like Walmart encourage their employees to use food stamps and other government services because apparently the most profitable corporation in the world can't pay a livable wage. It's almost like socialism is fine if it helps the rich, but terrible if it helps everyone else. In the end of the day, socialism is as American as apple pie, bought at a Walmart with food stamps.
Okay. I don't think most Americans realize they're already socialists.
In certain respects. Okay. Let's start off with what it is not what we want to change. We want to deal with the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in America. Very few people think it is acceptable or moral that the top 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That we have seen a proliferate.
But see, Bernie, you always say that, and I think even the Republicans are not for income inequality. They hear that, but it doesn't compute that that's going to be solved by socialism. Socialism is the programs they already like. They like Social Security. That's socialism.
But
they like Medicare. They like the VA. They like the military.
No, that's exactly right.
It's already a socialist country.
But what we have to, no, it's not a socialist country.
It's quasi.
Quasi. There are some socialist programs. But what we have got to do is remind fellow Americans that every other major country on earth guarantees health care to all people as a right, and they do it more cost effectively than we do.
But I don't know if we're still undemonizing this word socialism. This is my big thing tonight, to get you to undemonize this word, because, you know, they do polls on who people would vote for. Like, would people vote for a woman, a Jew, a black? Those are in like the low 90s, like 92, 91% of the people. I know, of course, the other 8%, I think we know who those people are. You won't be getting their vote. Then like 75% of Americans would now vote for a gay person. That's a big change from 10 years ago.
Yep.
60% would vote for a Muslim. 58% would vote for an atheist. Socialist, 47. It's at the very bottom of the barrel. They hear socialist, they think herpes, Bernie. We have to get
But then what we do is we have to make the movement, if you like, to correlate what we're talking about. Because on every one of the major issues I am talking about, the American people agree.
Socialism doesn't mean we're going to come to your house and make you work on a collective farm.
Right.
You know, in Europe, socialism is just another political party. It just means that government takes over certain things like hospitals and prisons and the military that shouldn't be, schools that should not be run for profit. But
yeah, it's to the magic trick of arithmetic and fact. The same way they suspend arithmetic and fact, they redefine words. Socialism. We've redefined capitalism. All of these actual words that have real meaning. They're actual things. They're real, basic, actual words, just like 2 + 2 actually equals 4. And as soon as we've lifted all of that,
you're giving it even more credit than it's due. It's not like people here even give a definition to socialism. They
think
don't.
It's communism.
They just hear it,
yeah.
and it's evil.
Well, it's an ism.
Right. It's the other.
It's bad.
Exactly.
Right, it's communism. They think it's communism, and they're going to come and take
Nobody
it.
likes isms, okay? They don't like capitalism, they don't like socialism, they don't like fascism, and they don't like communism. So I don't know what the plan
But
is.
but these rich guys sure like jism.
Yes.
I wanna live, I wanna give. I've been a miner for a heart of gold. It's these expressions I never give that keep me searching for a heart of gold. And I'm getting old. Keep me searching for
Scandinavia, in Sweden, you've had socialist governments for decades. That in fact, that country is probably, in most respects, more democratic than the United States. They have 80 or 90% of the people voting. They have strong labor unions. They have a more open media. They have a healthcare system guaranteeing healthcare to all of the people. Not to say that that's utopia.
At a time when the wealthiest people of this country have seen a tremendous increase in their income, while at the same time the standard of living of working people and poor people has declined, I will be damned if I will vote for a proposal which will stick it to the middle class and the working people. Workers in the United States today are working longer hours, significantly longer hours, taking less vacation time than they used to take. And is there any wonder why so many millions of Americans feel stressed out? They need to work longer hours, they need to work overtime in order to compensate for the real decline in their wages. Start off from a proposition that the wealthiest 1% of the population in this country owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. When we talk about the growth of the economy, what we should ask ourselves is who is gaining that income. And what is clearly going on is the lion's share, the overwhelming amount of the growth in income is going to the very, very wealthiest people, while the vast majority of the people are seeing a decline in their real incomes. Fight terrorism, protect the American people without undermining the basic constitutional rights which make us a free country. No matter how many children live in poverty, no matter how high the unemployment numbers are, they want more and more and more. And I say enough is enough. This grotesque level of inequality is immoral, it is bad economics, it is unsustainable. This type of rigged economy is not what America is supposed to be about. This has got to change. And as your president, together we are going to change. There is nothing that we cannot accomplish. And I pledge to you that every day I will fight for the public interest, not the corporate interest. I will not abandon any segment of American society, whether you're gay or black or Latino, poor or working class, just because it is politically expedient at a given time. So let us go forward together, and let us tell the Republicans that their reactionary agenda may work for the billionaires, but not for ordinary Americans, and we are going to defeat them. Thank you all very much. I went walking that ribbon of highway. I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me.